What is going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another edition of On the Road to Victory. I'm your host, Jimmy Smith, and I thank you for taking the time on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're ready for a great show today because we have a very special guest in the building. Mr. East Coast Gridiron himself, Dante, in the building. You guys recognize him in the chat. Always very supportive of the show. But he is a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. So we got to go behind enemy lines here and get to know a little bit about those Jaguars. But Dante is the man. He has been nothing but supportive. Got to go on his show a couple months back, and we really hit it off, dude. Just great graphics, great content. Really sticks to football, and, you know, the knowledge of the game is unmatched there when it comes to college. This dude really knows his stuff. So, you know, he and I hit it off right away. And I told him back then, when it comes to week 4, we're getting you on here. So here he is, ladies and gentlemen. Dante, I would like to take this moment here to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and let these fine people know where they can find all of your great content at.
Hey, man, Jimmy, I know this is, I don't want to say it's been a long time coming, but we definitely been talking behind the scenes for a while about doing something like this again after our show, man. Like you said, couldn't have said it better. We hit it off like right on the get. I mean, you're a truther for the knowledge of the game as well as I am. So I appreciate that our minds are alike there, regardless of what team we root for. But you know, it's like I tell people, just Google East Coast Gridiron. You see the logo on the screen. If you see that, it's probably us. And you know, a funny story, you know, before we get into it is, you know, during the Eagles open practice, we had bought T-shirts for me and the crew when we went out, and there was a lady that had another business in Minnesota that got our shirts, and we got her shirts for her business at the same time. And she's like, the only way that I found you is I just Googled East Coast Gridiron, and I saw the logo that was on the shirt, and it matched up. And you know, she messaged me, and we got our shirts back. You know, both of us. So I was like, hey, marketing, and I tell you this all the time, man. You're one of the dudes that I'm like, if somebody was to steal your graphic and put it on their show, I would know. I'm like, that's Jimmy's stuff. You know, so you know, marketing and how you look and how you present yourself, and you know, and the knowledge of the game at the end of the day is what's going to get us through, man. And that's why I think you're one of the best. You know, I watch your stuff strictly because I need to know about Eagle stuff, and I come to you first. So, and I have a couple other guys like that for other teams. So, you know, not to keep putting you on the high pedestal that you already know that you're on, but yeah, man, you just keep doing your thing, man. This is such an honor for me. So.
Dante, yeah, you're too kind, my man. And you know, he's being serious though. He is dedicated, man. And those are the kind of people, you know, I want to bring on the show. People that really love the sport and put forth the effort and the work, man. And you can see it. So Google it. You'll see the damn logo, ECG, right down there, and you'll find yourself some great content, college, all of the NFL, all that stuff, man. And
we're everywhere, man.
You are, and I love to see it, man. So keep up the great work. It is an honor to have you on. And it looks like you might be rocking a Mark Brunell jersey. Is that? I see an 8, man.
Hey, that's right. I got this jersey in 1998 or 1999, somewhere around there, when I was a little kid. This is a 2X, by the way. So I wasn't able to wear it. But now that, you know, I'm a grown man at 32, I'm able to rock the jersey. And you know, this thing's been holding up, you know, like the graphics itself on the shirt are looking pretty nice.
I don't believe
and
you.
Still.
That's nuts, dude. You're taking care of that thing. I'll tell you a little secret. I also have a 90s Jaguars jersey. You didn't see many other Eagles jerseys as a kid. I did have a Barry Sanders, and then there was another one, and his name was Jimmy Smith from the Jacksonville Jaguars, the receiver for Mark Brunell. So
funny.
Yeah, I was a
funny
fan
story.
of
Funny story about Jimmy Smith. I contacted him to try to get him to come on the show, and we're gonna see if we can work something out. But he's actually in the works of sending me a signed jersey of his.
Oh, so, dude, that's
he was
up.
like,
Tell
send
him
me your
I
address.
said
I will do. I was like, hey man, I also know another Jimmy Smith, so he's a Hall of Famer in his own right.
yo, that's so cool, man. And when you get him on, I will definitely be tuning in. And a shout out to Ted, Franchise Knight, Papa Sora in the building. Appreciate all of you for the shout outs. You guys are truly great for stopping in here, checking us out on this Saturday, man. I'm excited and loving that jersey, man. Bringing me back to the old times, man. I love just hearing those stories. And I hope the best for you there, man. We'll definitely all be checking that video out. Jimmy Smith, man, shout out to him. But The Jaguars,
Sure.
man, what a surprise your team has been this season. Now, I think we all knew going into the season they have a lot of really great young talent, but there's always question marks, especially when you have a new head coach. So nobody knew what to expect. And sure, a weird game there with Washington, but it's 3 games into the season. People are learning. I would love to hear just an overall thought process of, whoa, your first reaction to the Jacksonville Jaguars, number 1 in the AFC South. Okay, not too surprising, 3 games in. But when you look at the AFC, you're looking here, number 2 in the AFC. And again, we all know it's only 3 weeks in. We know this. But this is quite impressive. And if anyone has watched this team, whoo, they are very fun to watch. A lot of young talent. But if you haven't, that is why Dante is here. Tell me what you're seeing. What is surprising you the most from this young Jacksonville Jaguars team?
Dude, I've said this before at the beginning of the season. I said if anything was going to be a weak spot, it was going to be our secondary. Kind of, sort of like the Eagles, and you guys addressed it twofold with, I don't know how many guys you guys brought in the offseason. I mean, from Jaquaski Tart to, James Bradbury, and you guys got, what's his name? Gardner Johnson.
Yeah.
Yep, Gardner Johnson. So, there is that was the main thing that I was completely worried about this offseason, because I wasn't a big fan of Andre Cisco and Rashawn Jenkins. Shaquille Griffin, I knew he was having some injury issues and he was the brightest spot, but of course, being an outside corner, you're not going to save our whole secondary. But what were we going to do in the draft? How are we going to support them? And we went out and got Trayvon Walker. We went and got some pieces in the offseason, got the guy from, Atlanta to, go back there and fill out our middle linebacker spot. Josh Allen. I like to say the better Josh Allen because I'm biased, but, Josh Allen, I've been saying for a very long time that I would have liked Kayvon Thibodeau instead of Trayvon Walker for the simple fact that Josh Allen and Kayvon Thibodeau play completely different. I think, they would have complemented each other very, very well because both of them can switch, both sides of the ball, weak side and strong side. And Trayvon Walker has proven that he can do that too, which is making our secondary very, very happy and opened up a lot of spots for them. So I thought that was like the biggest thing I was concerned about. The offensive side, I was okay with the fact that James Robinson was coming back. I still, if anybody's the hardest on the Jaguars, it's probably me because of how much I've been disappointed over the years. And I'm not a big believer of, a coach is going to come in or, when you came on my show, even about the super teams on paper that I guess you could call it, how well those pieces are going to mesh together. And that's the same thing with a new coach. And I don't necessarily like that off the get for a young quarterback either, but if anybody was going to be able to turn the Trevor Lawrence train around, it was Doug Peterson himself for being a former quarterback. A lot of people tend to forget he played one of the best. I know he's in the media right now, but one of the best quarterbacks ever in Brett Favre. And, he was going to bring that mentality to Jacksonville and try to understand Trevor Lawrence from a X's and O's perspective before everybody knows he has a skill set. But right now, the first 3 games, I'm not disappointed. I hope this kid is as generational as what people give him credit for, but I like to evaluate everybody by like week 8. Give me a good 8 weeks to evaluate where you are, especially coming off he had a terrible season last year. And I've went as critical as saying, okay, I know Urban Meyer was our head coach. I know the culture that he brought in, but Urban Meyer, this is what made guys like Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and, most importantly, Matt Stafford. How many coaches did Matt Stafford have over the years, and he continues to prove that he was excellent over and over and over again. So again, the coaches don't throw the football, and if you got talent, you got talent, and he's starting to show that now. But with all the weapons that are on our team too, like him and Zay Jones have been working a lot during the offseason, and you're starting to see that. And I think right now everybody talks about all the offensive weapons that we got. If we keep Zay Jones healthy, man, he's going to be the next Chris Godwin, where you already got your Mike Evans type, right? But I can be your Chris Godwin type, moving up on that X spot for you. So I love this team so far, man. I love the fact that they're proving me wrong. it's hard to see that little glimpse of hope and sunlight when you see him play so well. But this is the week that I think not only can be a trap game for the Eagles, but just really that we need to start showing our talent. Maybe this is the most vulnerable that a team could be is against another good team like the Jaguars that nobody really thinks right now is a great team. But I don't think Doug Peterson or our team is taking the Eagles seriously, or not taking them seriously. But also on the other hand, the Eagles are bringing Doug Peterson back home. So how much are those players going to be feeling a little bit of sympathy that Doug Peterson's not part of that team anymore? And you saw Doug Peterson in the media this week talking about high praise for Jalen Hurts and vice versa. So, how much our emotions going to play a factor in this game, I don't know. I'm sure we'll get into it, but just to answer your question, yeah, that secondary has been the most surprising for me, man. That Tyson Campbell he's been great. He's been great. There's no other word for it. He's been great and underrated. Not a lot of people are still talking about him. So we'll see what happens, man.
Love that you added old Tyson in there. Talked about him thoroughly this week. Went behind enemy lines, and I, try to express, I don't care if people don't know the names of these people because it's like, who is this guy? Cisco? Is that Drew Hill? It's like, no, that is not.
Yeah,
it's racist. So, you go through these things, and it's like, I'm telling you, I know that the Eagles, and look, I try not to be biased. I love my birds. I bleed green, but I always try to keep it real. So, when I came on your show, look, expect some bumpy roads. I know there's going to be struggles. People are going to be calling for heads first couple weeks, but let's stay patient. Hopefully we can pull off wins. That's what we've seen. But you talk about that, with both these teams and, wondering, are they going to pan out what it looks like on paper? And Tyson Campbell last year in the draft, oh my God, I love the kid out of Georgia. Obviously, they breed a lot of great talent there. And this kid, I think is going to be really fun to watch if they put him up against A.J. Brown. Now, clearly, it doesn't have to be one-on-one like everything. So, you have to be against him every play. But that his toughness, he is going to be able to go up with A.J. Brown, and it's really going to be fun. Yep. I know people don't know the name, but I'm telling you, just like Dante said, and I've been trying to explain this week, this dude, definitely one of the most slept-on corners, and by next year, you will know him as one of the best corners in the game, and that is a big piece to why Dante was saying, the secondary, so many questions. Rayshon Jenkins and Cisco at safety. You've got Shaquille Griffin he had mentioned there. And, he was banged up last week and missed. And you had Chris Claybrooks come in there. So, he's questionable, Griffin, in this game. So it's Tyson Campbell going to have to step it up. But I love what you mentioned there. A great way to improve your secondary is to improve your pass rush and get guys that get to the quarterback and do so many other things. And, you guys have something going on there in Jacksonville that the Eagles do. You have Keith Farwell there. You guys are running that 3-4 a lot of time. And you talk about, having Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, and dude, very talented guys, outside linebackers. And I love what you said about Thibodeau. Maybe it would have been a better mix and match, but right now, you and I talked about Trayvon Walker, and I think people were sleeping on him as one of the top picks. Loved to see him go to the Jags like that. It was definitely a shocker.
Well, I tell you, Jimmy.
Yeah, man, you did.
A lot of people were saying, he was projected to be picked like outside of that 15 type of pick.
Yeah.
And he got picked. And I was like, that was the greatest combine in the history of the NFL, and
Dude's
nobody's talking about it.
For real. You and I were like, what is happening? Yep. We're like, what is happening? Why is it? And it's crazy that you guys got him. I love it, man. And, I enjoy watching the Jaguars, but unfortunately, this Sunday, it's going down between the two of us. And, you talk about it, this could be a trap game for both of these teams, both feeling great. A lot of people doubting what's going on with, two different, scenarios here with the new head coach, second-year head coach, second-year starting quarterback. So a lot of question marks, though, for both teams. And one name you had mentioned, and I had just mentioned, Shaquille Griffin. So let me take this time to show you the Jaguars injury report for this game. So Cole Van Lanen, not a big deal. That's depth piece. K. Levon Chasson, another depth piece, but what a great rotation you guys have there at outside linebacker. So that could be a blow. You want a great rotation, but two starters here. Now, we mentioned Shaquille Griffin, talked about him. Chris Claybrooks coming in, if that were to be the case, if he misses again. But you have Zay Jones here, who popped up on Thursday, I believe it was. And, I know this is the name people are like, this dude sucks. But one thing you have to remember is, look, some things were going on in his personal life. These are human beings. When he was with Buffalo, wishing him nothing but the best when that was going down. I remember my buddy's a Buffalo Bills fan. He was really high on Zay Jones, was hopeful for him. And when you have things going on off the field, the Eagles know all about it. It doesn't matter how talented you are. It's not going to show up. So the right situation can do wonders for someone. So Zay Jones goes to Oakland and then turns into Las Vegas, whatever. And then, he really shows he's still got talent. And, that earned him the right to get a contract from Jacksonville. And man, you talk about, when the Eagles got A.J. Brown, it was like, this is what you need, the compliments to each other. And you talked about that, having the Jones boys there and then having, Christian Kirk in that slot. That is quite a dynamic. And I think people are sleeping on that fact, right? You give your quarterback some weapons, maybe then you start to get a little bit more answers. So both of the teams did that this year. And, Zay Jones, man, what a killer he has been. People are sleeping on him, have him in fantasy, man. And people are like, why would you dig Zay Jones? They're seeing now.
Zay Jones too.
They're seeing now, brother. So, hey, let them keep sleeping. But what would be the next plan in place if Zay Jones were to sit? What do you think? Who would be that next guy in line for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I mean, it has to be Marvin Jones. He was the projected starter last year, and this year kind of took a backseat to Zay Jones and, Christian Kirk. But it has to be Marvin Jones. And what's so crazy about the dynamic of those three is, to me, they're like the same wide receiver. It's so weird when I look at them on tape. Can go after the ball on the sideline. That's what all of them are good at. Go after the ball on the sideline, can eat you up in the middle, but are just like really nasty also in the corners of the end zone as well. And all of them have that skill set. So it's like we have 1A, 1B, 1C. They're all like a clone of each other. So I think Marvin Jones and also I was, Don will tell you on our show, we've been talking about Marvin Jones for a very, very long time. A motivated Marvin Jones is one of the scariest receivers in the NFL. And also, he played with, Matthew Stafford. And I know we talked about him before, and might need to give him a little bit of love for maybe the career that Marvin Jones had. But Marvin Jones is no slouch at receiver, man. Big shoes to fill after, Chris Johnson, retired. But it's just one of those things, man, that I think, Marvin Jones and, when we started looking at our depth, Tim Jones is the guy that came in for us and pretty much sealed the deal on why Laviska Shenault had to leave our team.
Okay. You had a comment there. Great.
Yeah. So Laviska Shenault, man, when he left, I remember this. I remember the day because it was like 2 days before. I did a live on me doing a whole graphic on Laviska Shenault, and that same day I had Laviska Shenault's I had his jersey in my shopping cart on fanatics.com because that was going to be the next one I got. 2 days later, I didn't buy it, but then he got traded to the Panthers, which the Panthers seem to get like all of our, as they call it, sloppy seconds. But he wasn't a sloppy player whatsoever. I mean, he had his drop issues, but last year he was kind of incredible for the little things that he was doing for Trevor Lawrence. And Trevor Lawrence's season could have looked a lot worse without Laviska Shenault. And I know he only had like 500 or 600 yards last year, but they were all, when you look at a game, you try to look at like the crucial moments in the game. And it seemed like every yard that he got was something crucial for Jacksonville. And I didn't really understand why we traded him away. But Tim Jones has come in and pretty much put a stamp on that. We're okay with getting rid of Laviska Shenault. And we've only seen a little bit of him, right? But the three guys at the top, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Marvin Jones have all been showing up every single week. I'm excited for the guys. They're not dropping passes. And, also on the other side, a big misconception about Evan Ingram coming into our team. We got him for real cheap, but the dude's been pretty incredible. He had 7 catches in week 2. He's got 80-something yards as, being a tight end in this passing offense that we got, and he's been showing up as well. But, I expect, Tim Jones to go back to him. I expect him to step up a little bit more, coming out of this week. And, that's if Zay Jones sits. There's some rumors coming out that he may not sit. There's some rumors that he is. I say if it's an ankle issue, you know how important ankles and knees are to a receiver. I'm not a big fan of and we all seen what happened to Tua. I'm not a big fan of forcing people back, like
Facts.
during injuries that could be really critical. Now, if it was like an elbow injury or something, whatever, you can play the game. Shoulder injury, everyone, you know, how much do you really need? You need your shoulders and everything, but your ankles when you're running routes and things
Yeah.
like that,
Little
just go
bit
ahead
important.
and yeah, just go ahead and have him sit, man. I'm okay with it, but he is one of the unsung heroes of our pass game for sure. He reminds me of Laviska Shenault 2.0 right now. He makes a lot of critical catches for us. A lot of third down conversions happen because of Zay Jones. So, you know, Tim Jones has got his he's got his work cut out for him this game.
I love it, man. And I love that Laviska Shenault was brought up in the comments and you brought it up there. You know, that is somebody I felt the same way. You know, you just got to unlock him, you know, give him a little time. And I feel like maybe it's like with the Eagles, like, you know, Eagles fans out there, how we dealt with Nate Erbeck. It's not necessarily that you want that person to go. You know that they're good, but maybe their agent and the player feel differently and they would like an opportunity elsewhere. And, you know, I love what you brought up about Tim Jones and, you know, with a gadget player like Laviska Shenault, he's not just a gadget player. I'm just saying, you know, you can use him in so many ways. I feel having guys like Tim Jones and a Jamal Agnew in there, you know, you have those players that you can do all kinds of stuff with. So whatever it was, I felt the same way as you. I was a little thrown off by that. And, you know, I never want to see anybody hurt, but it was crazy to see, you know, Zay Jones pop up. And I was like, oh, God, because I'm already scared because Avonte Maddox is down for the Eagles. And just like you said, this ankle injury just popped up on Thursday. This is not something, the same goes for the secondary as it does the receivers in almost any position, really. You need your damn feet. And when you're running routes or you're backpedaling trying to keep up with someone running routes, it's going to be a tough time with an ankle injury. So we are sitting our starting corner. So maybe you could see the same thing from the Jaguars. I hope that you guys play at full health. When I was doing the behind enemy lines, I noticed you guys are really healthy. There was Jordan Smith on IR, and then you had a guy on IR named Willie Johnson. I don't know if he was released off of IR, but it looked like that was pretty crazy. But the Eagles, you know, we like to scare people. We come out with an injury report on Wednesday, and it's like 64 people, and everybody's like, oh my God, but most of them are resting. So I had to show that graphic. Exactly. And then the Jaguars were next, and there was 2 people, and everybody's like, it's like so pissed. And I'm like, hey, look, let's just wait till game time. And you guys have 4 questionable players, some important pieces, but look, it's next man up mentality. And, you know, I showed the offense. Here's the defense. You know, we talked about, I have Chris Claybrooks in because when I made this show, I was just going off of who started the week before. But again, Griffin would be starting at right cornerback if it were not, you know, Chris Claybrooks. So you got Darius Williams, you picked up from the Rams. Love that addition. But man, you had mentioned Oldacone in the middle with Devin Lloyd. Oh my God, dude, that is one of the best duos. Dude, they are one of the best duos. I had Oldacone in my fantasy. We play with defensive players. So I had him last year, tackling machine. He led the league in tackles last year. When he went to the Jags this year, I was like, oh my God. Now, somebody obviously was on the board knowing what was going on because they took him before me. But this dude, him and Devin Lloyd, I've been watching him in the fantasy, you know, getting all the damn points. And I had to pick up Devin Lloyd because I was like, I'm tired of watching this. And that kid somehow getting fantasy points with the tackling machine next to him. And man, that defense, holy, you talk about the concerns of the secondary, but that front 7, you added Fadakasi, the dude from the Jets, big boy in the middle. You have Roy Robertson Harris, who you had added from the Bears the year before. You got a lot of talent. You have a big nose tackle in the middle, Davon Hamilton. So you've got a pretty damn good front 7, man. I cannot wait to see. One of my top matchups was Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata versus who you had mentioned, the better Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, man. I think this is going to be such a great matchup. And I love what you said there. You know, this could be a trap game for either team. And I don't think the Eagles are going to take anyone lightly, but I do think, you know, there will be emotions for some players. Luckily, there's only a few from that Super Bowl team left and they get their emotions out of the way because we need to come with business. And this is going to be a sloppy game, calling for a lot of rain. So you talk about these receivers. Now, how do you think, what would be the Jaguars' best plan of attack? What would you, I feel, man, I kind of want you to go into the run game is what I'm getting at, because I feel with a sloppy game, you're going to see, not necessarily, I think a lot of people feel that you have to run the ball when it's sloppy. I think more so you just see shorter passes. You're still going to see a lot in the passing game, but I think a lot of dinking and dunking. So what do you see the Jaguars? How do you think their key to success here on offense? What do you think establishing that run, obviously, with James Robinson, But who do you think can step it up in your offense and be able to put you past these Eagles here?
Yeah, and just to mention Kalavon Chason, if he plays in the game, it wouldn't matter because he's been a complete bust for our team.
Really?
The So going into the game offensively, kind of a key to victory is, and I've said this all week long. I've been on a couple other people's shows as well, and I've said pound the rock with James Robinson. Don't make the same mistake we did last year. And if anything's in our favor, it's the weather. To be completely honest with you, like they're used to playing in this sloppy puddle of a mess that's going to happen on Sunday, and James Robinson he has to be the answer. And he's getting better every single week. I think he had 2 60-yard games and a 100-yard game last week. And it's like he's getting better and better and better as the season progresses, and he's starting to find his way. And of course, I've been, a lot of people, first-time reactions. I don't like to react until I can evaluate a player on year number 3. This is the problem that I had with Sam Darnold. Everybody said that he was great. And I'm like, the dude's going into year number 4, and you think he's going to be automatically good going to the Panthers with a college coach that, like, college coaches don't have a good percentage of ever working out in the NFL. Let's be real here. Jimmy Johnson or Pete Carroll. But James Robinson, man, they have to pound the rock with him. And he's great. He has one catching touchdown this year, too. I know we have Travis Etienne, and they want to utilize him in certain ways. But I would just still, if the percentage of the carries and the percentage of the plays, if I'm making a game plan right now, it's going to have to be 60-40 and give it a lot to James Robinson. I wouldn't mind if he had a 30-carry game. We don't see that a lot, but I wouldn't mind seeing a 30-carry game out of James Robinson and seeing how much that he can carry our offense going. I expect if they give him 30 carries for him to walk out of there with a $170 and at least 2 touchdowns.
The dude is a tank. He is.
He is.
I wasn't trying to push you into what to say, and I know that's not what you were going with. And I hope everybody at home, you understood what I was saying. But I wanted him to touch on James Robinson without saying it because, dude, down here, Drew mentions he's on his fantasy team. I'm still pissed somebody took him in fantasy because I was like, oh, they're sleeping on him.
I have him on my fantasy team, too. I don't usually pick Jaguars players, but Zay Jones and James Robinson are on my team.
He is a stud. And I like Travis Etienne, but I said it. I was like, I don't care. This dude is going to force them to pound that rock, and that is exactly what they are going to try to do on this Sunday. And I think that's the best plan of attack. And I had mentioned the other day, you could see 25 plus carries from this dude. You're saying 30. And look, if he is, that means you're succeeding. The defense is doing what it needs to do. You continue to dink and dunk when you have to, but you pound that rock. And that is what I'm hoping for the Eagles to do this Sunday as well in that sloppy weather. So I think, that's a great point you bring up there. We all know who Christian Kirk is, all that stuff, but you get that run game going, man, and it's going to be hard to stop. And the Eagles have struggled at times with tackling. So got to bring your A game here. That's a great point. Now, before we head out of here, I want to hear the flip side. Now, you know what we bring to the table. Jalen Hurts, all the weapons we have now, this offensive line. How do you think this defense of the Jaguars can come at the Philadelphia Eagles and shut down this offense?
I know you talk about the running game, but I think that this is the first game that they're going to reevaluate everything that they're doing running-wise. I think it's going to be pretty dominant, to be honest. And, I'm not just saying this because I'm a Jaguars fan, and Jimmy, you know me, I'm super critical of Jacksonville. But over the last 3 weeks, who has had the best – outside of you guys, I guess, but who's been the most dominant in both facets of the game with not only rushing the quarterback? I'm not talking about sack totals. I'm talking about getting to the quarterback and putting pressure and stopping the run.
Facts.
It's been Jaguars, like, their linebackers are probably the best in the NFL right now.
They are.
It's hard. It's hard not to say it. And I said this last time on Nighting's show. I was like, when I really think about it, bro, they probably are the best right now. And I think the key to victory, if I'm the defensive coordinator, is do what we've been doing. Because you know what? It's not failing. We put a lot of pressure on Carson Wentz the other week as well. I know they said a lot for you guys, but you guys have a lot of rush guys too. That's not really how our defense is designed. You're not going to see Devin Lloyd and Fudukasi out there, rushing the quarterback. We don't have Telvin Smith anymore. This is a completely different type of defense, and we run a 3-4 as well. So, with that being said, stop the run. I don't think Jalen Hurts is going to feel as comfortable as he has the last couple of weeks. Just because he knows we're probably going to put a spy on him. It's probably going to be Devin Lloyd, and he's going to be really
Mhm.
good. He's going to be really good at it because if you watch him at Utah, he was the most athletic guy on the field by far. So
We talked
you
about
know,
him
Jalen.
pre-draft too, brother. Oh my God, he's so good.
Yeah, I wanted him so bad, and we got him. And one dude to look out for this game that is also athletic that I don't think gets enough love, and it's just because of all the injuries that have happened. But if K'Lavon Chaisson is out of the game, watch out for Chad Muma to kind of step up on maybe
Ooh,
like an edge position. They've been talking about it every once in a while, like, hey, where are we going to plug Chad Muma in? Chad Muma's no joke too, and
like a
I'd love.
Parsons-esque.
I would love to see those guys all, on that front seven get together and cause some havoc. So that would be my key of the game is make sure that you contain Jalen Hurts in the running game, but go into the mindset of let's not do what we haven't been doing. Don't try to make it as exotic. And I guess as like a 1B kind of game plan is continue confusing the offensive line. If you're able to switch Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker from left to right all day long, do it. Because Jordan Mailata is not going to know what skill set to block when you do that. And that's why Josh Allen has had a lot of success in his career. He to me is not as athletic or doesn't have the skill set of Von Miller, but he's very Von Miller-esque when I talk about, getting after the quarterback in very exotic ways, like throwing his body out there, grabbing the leg, pushing the shoulder out the way. Like he's really good at that stuff. So but if we do that, and I know Ted, you're saying our secondary suspect, we've been holding teams to less than 16 points a game. So you
And
got
they're
you got to
10th,
look at that.
10th against the pass right now, 10th against the run, 7th in total yardage, I believe it was. So this defense is
Hmm.
no joke. And I think one
They're
thing
legit.
having a suspect secondary we talked about earlier in the show is you have a damn good front seven. And that is exactly what he's mentioning here. And that's one of the things I
Yeah.
mentioned this week. The Eagles better bring their A game because they will be creating pressure. They are going to come after Jalen Hurts. And this offensive line, I still feel is one of the best in the game when they get to full strength. But Isaac Seumalo at right guard now, some issues are being seen right now. So there needs to be some things cleaned up for the Eagles. Get that run game going for them because if they make us one-dimensional, it could be trouble because you talked about Devin Lloyd being able to spy. This dude is athletic as hell. You got a tackling machine in Olacone at the middle. I think they've got everything you need to match up against us. And we've talked about the number one rushing attack or defense you guys have, only allowing 55 yards per game. So the Eagles need to come out and bring everything they've got. You cannot sleep on these Jacksonville Jaguars, but that some great points you bring up there. The Eagles definitely better not be sleeping on this team because I'm telling you, this has been, and he mentioned it, probably the best team in the NFL on defense, getting pressure, getting to the quarterback. And the Eagles did it last week. Fantastic. But we need to see that every week, not against offensive lines like Washington. We need to do that against dominated offensive linemen. So, look, I love what we did, but you grow with that. You continue. And you've got a tough task in, Cam Robinson, Jawan Taylor. Maybe you could get Josh Sweat. And what he said about his outside linebackers, you got to do with Sweat and Reddick. You got to attack them multiple. So I love what you brought up there, man. Great stuff.
Jawan Taylor is going to be the next guy that we pay. He has taken
Really? Big
a
steps?
step up. He's taken not big, like huge steps this year. Cam
Love to hear it.
Robinson, he's been okay, and I wasn't a big fan of us paying him all that money, but not to address the comments, but I did want to just call out Ted. You said that your wide receivers are studs. Just out of respect for the Chargers in Washington, are we really going to say Mike Williams is not a stud, or Terry McLaurin, or Curtis Samuel, or Jahan Dotson? Like all those guys are really good. So do I think we're taking a step up on your firepower this week? Yeah, but I wouldn't say that those teams were running the ball super heavy against us too because of Devin Lloyd and Fodakasi. Like so
You guys have definitely taken on some good receivers for sure.
it looks different when you're one dimensional. And that's what I'm saying. Like, how good is Jalen Hurts when he's got a second and a half to throw the ball, or the running game is not really working? So I'm telling you,
That's
this is the
perfect,
best
man.
best litmus test for both teams is this game right here for the rest of the season. I think
Well, it's a
this is the
good
most
place.
important game on the schedule.
It is. And, it's a good place for Trevor Lawrence. Someone mentioned here, I talked about this week. This is a perfect situation for him. They don't care if it's raining, whatever. They're going to dink and dunk all day. West Coast offense, man. Doug Peterson thrives off this stuff. So they're going to find ways to get the backs, the tight end, Evan Ingram, you mentioned, not just the receivers. You got to watch out for this team on all facets of the game, and say Malu better step it up. You've got some big boys in the middle we mentioned earlier. You've got so it's not just the edge rushers. They will bring the fire, dude. There's a reason they're allowing 55 yards per game, and they've been taking on these receivers. So they're shutting down the pass and the run. It's not just, and I'm not here trying to say the Eagles are going to lose. I'm just saying he's bringing great points, and you have to give respect, because I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, nope, that's not real, because it is, man. The Jaguars are legit. But the thing is, the Eagles are also very legit. But the thing with both of these teams is, they are both just finding their way. These are not this is not even close to what they're going to look like. And, Dante mentioned that at the beginning of the show. Midway through the season, I'm going to feel a little bit more comfortable about what I've seen and talking about how I feel about the future with some of these guys. But look, it's game week. We're going to talk about the damn game. And what we've seen so far is a lot of great things and a bright future for a lot of guys that had question marks. He mentioned Jawan Taylor. We know most of the media and the Eagles fan base didn't want to give Jalen Hurts a chance. So you never know what with the right coaching and the right situation, and with a big win and a big game, what that can do for you. So both teams looking to go into this, and man, they're both very hungry teams. And I'm going to be real with you. Hungry dogs run faster, but those cats are definitely hungry too. So I think that, yes. And he named those number ones, but they all have really good receiving corps. So I agree with what he's saying. And all he's saying is that they've been battle tested. And it's the same thing we get mad when people say about the Eagles. You haven't played? And it's like, well, yes, I have. Look at Justin Jefferson. I mean, so don't let anybody sleep on either of these teams. I think this is going to be a heavyweight battle. And my favorite thing to watch is those tackles versus those edge rushers you keep mentioning. I think it is going to be quite a showdown, ladies and gentlemen. And look, Dante,
I think on paper, man, it's very similar. On paper, you look at both teams, and I looked at the splits because I'm a splits guy. Like, when you go to a player's profile, I encourage everybody to click on the splits, because, like, not to throw Justin Herbert in there, but a lot of people asked me last year before he had the year that he had, who are you putting on your team as your number one quarterback? And I said Justin Herbert. You know why? Because his very first year, he was 20-1 in the red zone. So if I build everything around him to get to the red zone, we're going to score, and we're going to beat you by getting in the red zone every single time. And, when you look at the splits of a lot of these players and just the teams in general, how they do in the fourth quarter, the only weak spot that I could say is probably still our secondary, because now we're going against two number ones. So, I do agree with that. But then on the other side of the ball, I think the Eagles thing is they have to finish. The second half, if they slip up, the Jaguars are one of those teams, and Doug Peterson's going to go in and try to, take all the cookies out the cookie jar in the second half. So, I think if those are the two glaring weak spots, those are still the two. But
for sure,
that's what I think, is the two things that you have to focus in on this game.
I love it, man. And I really, really appreciate your insight. And Ted, I don't think he took any hate in that. He knows he's dealing with the Eagles fans here, but we love our birds.
Yeah,
and,
man.
This is why I brought Dante on, though, because we could sit here and talk about how great the Eagles are, but I want to hear somebody that really watches the Jaguars and knows what's going on. So, man, I cannot thank you enough for coming on, and cannot wait till the next time. But ladies and gentlemen out there, unfortunately I have to get rolling out here. But if you have any comments, you want to leave one down below, we will both try to get back to you. Always down to talk some birds, some Jags, just football in general, ladies and gentlemen. We love it. We live for it. And make sure you're going to East Coast Gridiron. Google it. Look for the logo down there. You will find him. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. And Dante, I want to give you this opportunity. Any final words that you have? Let these people know again where they can find you, dude. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Like I said, it's always good talking with you, Jimmy. Anytime I get a chance to, if we're in the DMs or just on your show, I'm sitting there, commenting on your show and everything. Like I said, you're my Eagles guy, so that's not going to change. But I don't have too much to say other than if you guys like what I said here, if you guys go to the channel and you like the comment or like the content and you feel like you want to subscribe or there's no, we don't do any force feeding on our channel, that's for sure. So, but everything's appreciated. Everything helps out little by little, and everything helps to push our content out there a little bit more. And I always try to do, I always try to bring guys like Jimmy up with me as well. Even though I see my man is at 1.1, what is that, 1.14K right now. So yeah, he's I was super excited, man. Like I said, I was glad I was like one of your first like super chats as well. So, but everything's well deserved, man. If anybody should be, on the Eagle side doing a lot of content, sideline content, media content for them, you've definitely built yourself up to do that. So it's very recognizable. But like franchise said, actually, this big play Slay, he just changed his name. Uh, Jimmy's a superstar. I feel the same way, man. And in our world, you're one of the superstar content creators. So I'll you know me, man. I'll always be here to support. So, and I'm just a DM away. You say, hey, man, I need you to jump on the show and just come talk to Eagles. I'll throw my Jalen Hurts jersey on and I'll be there. I'll be a fan for today. So
love it. Dude, and honestly, truly loved meeting you, months ago when I did, and it has been nothing but awesome getting to know you, dude. So all of you, from Big Play Slay, now the franchise, to Ted, tonight, to my man Drew. Hope you're doing safe, brother. I appreciate each and every one of you. Ted, thank you, man. You stay safe as well. And look, if you guys need anything, please feel free to reach out, whether it's about the birds, it's about life, whatever it is. Always here for you guys as you are for me. Seriously, appreciate you. Yeah, we've got name changes going on. We're getting ready, ladies and gentlemen. But I hope you're all having a great weekend. And I will be back tomorrow. We will be doing the pregame show, and then I will have the postgame show. No halftime show tomorrow. But I hope you're all having a great weekend. Staying safe out there. But Dante, thank you again for tuning in. Everyone, go check out East Coast Gridiron. Go Google it. Go check out Twitter, YouTube, all of it. Go check it out. But I will catch you guys next time. But until then, I am Jimmy Smith. This is On the Road to Victory with special guest Dante of East Coast Gridiron. You stay safe out there. And as always, go Birds!